Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Last First Date Radio, featuring interviews with experts in dating, relating, and mating in midlife. And now, here's your host, Sandy Weiner.
Hello, everybody. This is Sandy, and welcome to Last First Date Radio, the place to be for creating healthy, lasting relationships in midlife, or actually whatever stage you're in, it will apply to you too. I can pretty much guarantee you. Today, I am excited to be speaking with Karen Aberle, author and therapist, I think. We will find out in a minute, about how to build trust in a relationship, 3 ways to build trust in a relationship. For the past 11 years, I have been working with women to help them find love, and often they have entered into the best relationships of their life in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even in their 70s. And the secret is that they found their value first. They discovered what their worth was as a woman of value. They learned how to communicate effectively and speak up to the men in their lives, to not make assumptions, and to really just learn how to get deeper and more intimate with the men that they were dating, and that resulted in the best relationships ever. And I am excited to be taking the Woman of Value movement even further into the workplace very shortly as I work on a new arm to my business, and you'll be hearing more about it as I go. And every week I bring you a tip on how to become a woman of value. And this week's tip is declutter your life. Now, decluttering your house is important, but decluttering your life, to me, is almost even more important. And what that means to me is to take away any tasks that are sucking your time, that are not adding to your life, and take out toxic people who are draining your life, because that's clutter. It's just not helping you to be the best person you can be. So think of one thing you can do today to say no to something that is draining you and cluttering up your life. And as a woman of value, there is also a new program that just began last month, and I'm excited to talk about that just for a moment before I bring Karen onto the show. It's called the Woman of Value Club, and what it is a membership club. You belong to this amazing exclusive group of women who are all on the journey to go on their last first date, and every month I bring you an amazing hour-long topic-based call on a topic that is related to something that women over 40 are going through in their dating life. And I have an Ask Me Anything call as well. And this month we were talking about online dating, and women were given a template to create a new profile. And I've been giving feedback and creating little videos to review their profile so that they show up as their best self online and know how to message correctly, to be more effective, to have the best photos. I mean, it's a flurry of activity, and wow, women are really, really amazing and growing tremendously in this group. So if you're interested in the Women of Value Club and learning more, go to lastfirstdate.com, and it's an ongoing program. You can join at any time. There's a first month free trial if you join now. And so you go on to lastfirstdate.com, and there's a group coaching option. Just click that little link. There's an icon, and it'll take you right there. All right, I'm excited to now talk to Karen Aberle. Whether you're single, married, or searching for love, you're sure to be inspired by her. She is the author of Love's Invisible Dance, which is inspired by her own juicy 30-year marriage, 3 decades of researching relationships and the philosophy of language, and an 18-year apprenticeship with shamans of central Mexico. That sounds fascinating. She has coached teams in Fortune 100 organizations on building strong professional relationships using the same skills she and her husband have taught in couples workshops. So join me now for episode number 334, Karen Aberle, on 3 ways to build trust in your relationship. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Thank you, Sandy. It's a real pleasure to be here. And I was very excited to hear about your Women of Value program. I have an ex-sister-in-law that I can't wait to tell her about it.
Oh, thank you. That would be awesome to have her in the club. And it sounds like a lot of the work that you do is kind of similar, where you take the personal relationship work and you've brought it to professional relationships. And I love the crossover. I think it's really exciting.
Well, you know, the real truth is that relationship is a phenomenon that not many people have studied. I mean, where do you learn how to be in relationship? From your parents, you know, from schoolyard, from here and there. But there is no real curriculum, no basic structure in which people learn how to create relationships that are strong and joyful.
Yeah, that's true. And so we make lots of mistakes along the way. And so many people just keep repeating them, wondering why everybody else is so difficult.
That's right, because they don't take responsibility for learning it themselves.
Yeah.
And that's really what my book, Love's Invisible Dance, has done, is offered these 7 keys for what you must absolutely be paying attention to if you're going to have an enduring, creative, passionate, adventurous relationship.
So do you want to share those 7 keys with us before we get to the trust part of this conversation?
Sure. One of the basic questions that we need to be looking at is, who is this person in front of us? Is this person a treasure? And how do we honor a treasure? You know, the things that I have recalled in my life, I've been married 3 times, in the way that I have spoken or listened or appreciated my partner. Not good. So the business of honoring and treasuring your partner is something that we have to continuously work at. Another key to relationship is to recognize that we create it in language. So who are you to me is something that we define by our agreements, by our declarations, by our shared values. So creating a relationship we need to be able to see how we see the world, how we assess what's going on, the possibilities that exist. And my background in the philosophy of language has shown that there are only 6 ways that we create reality in language. And very few people know what they are, although that they're doing them all the time, every day, day in, day out. So knowing what you're doing in language is a critical key to what is the relationship that we're creating. The third key is really about learning. As you said before, we tend to look at the other as the source of our joy or pain, and don't necessarily take responsibility for increasing our own level of mastery in love. And what that also brings up is the whole question of what is love. You know, we all have had experiences of love for mother, love for friends, love for lovers. But what is this thing? You know, we fall into love, and then after a few years, you know, when the hormones have kind of settled down, what is love then? So what I like to work with is love is actually a domain of action. Love is the way that we act to care for another, to be tender with another. And when we are acting with care and tenderness, we produce a feeling of love, of being loved, of loving. So there's love the noun and love the verb. And and very often we are not well focused on how effectively we are caring and tender for another. And why are we not? So this third key is about learning to master love. It's like mastering tennis. You go, you work with a coach, you practice, and you get better at it. But most people don't see this as a possibility. My mom, to her dying day, God bless her, just believed, well, if it's right, it'll last. And she lived that way, 95 years.
Or if it's meant to be, it'll just
that's
happen.
Did
it'll
you know my mother?
Me.
Exactly.
And I so agree with everything you said so far. And I think, language obviously is important to me because I teach communication skills, and every word we say is so critically important. How we say it, what we say, when we say it, and I think that so few of us really have a mastery of language and really understand the sensitivity that people have to the words we say. And just this morning I was coaching a client through an issue that she has with somebody she's in a new relationship with, and after a few months she's already reaching that stage that you just talked about when the hormones start to settle down and you start to see the flaws. And so every word is being scrutinized, and she's seeing it one way, and I'm helping her to open up her perspective about other ways that he might have meant what he said, and to help him sort of massage the language together so that they can be in better communication. But this is the point where a lot of people abandon ship. They just say it's not happening, it's terrible.
Right.
And so if you stay the course during the tough times, and when you have these misunderstandings, and when you start to see the flaws, you can deepen love so much more.
I spoke with a friend yesterday who's been married for 40 years, and her marriage has gone through tough times, and they are still working at it, and they're a great couple, really wonderful couple. But I asked this question: on a scale of 1 to 10, how joyful is your relationship? And invariably, people don't respond with an immediate 10 because there's something missing. And I think that it's a bad setup. It's a terrible setup because we're always waiting for perfection to arrive, and then we'll be satisfied. And you're speaking about flaws. I would look at that as opportunities for learning. It's not like we're damaged goods in some way. We're in a constant state of becoming, and so if we can own that we're becoming and that we don't perform, perfectly Olympic, 10 material all the time, then we can say, wow, this is what I did. I can own it, and I can learn from it, as opposed to cover it up, lie about it. We have
avoid
not.
It.
Yeah, right. We didn't go to school and learn how to learn. We've had to learn, but we didn't learn how to be good learners, and that's what's required. And as you're speaking about your client today, you're pointing to exactly what the second chapter of my book is about, is that we use our words to convey a certain intention. And very often, the way it's listened is not the way that we intended it. And so we need to be clear about what our intentions are so that we can align ourselves with the other. And that's really the dance of relationship, is that we need to be doing the same steps, operating off of the same intentions with the same understanding of where we are and where we're going. And when you learn these 6 linguistic moves that are in the book, you begin to simplify communication. There's only 6 ways that you can intend. So it actually simplifies this mysterious thing of relationship.
Mhm. Yeah, I find that often when people are approaching somebody where there's conflict, the intention is not stated up front, and the intention, it feels like you're saying this to destroy me. You're saying this to take me down. And when you can create that safety at the beginning to say, I want to talk about this because I care about you so much, and I don't want this to come between us. I mean, that's just an example, but stating that intention so that you know you're safe. You know that it's okay.
Right.
You're coming with good intent. And so often people don't even know what their intention is. So, yeah, we could make this whole call about communication. I just want to, but there's so much to talk about here, and it's so juicy. But let's get through the 4 keys, and then I want to talk about the trust piece.
Conflict is one of them. The dance of conflict is an important dance for us to learn in life. It's not something to be avoided. And I see very dry, dead relationships that of people who never fight. So actually, that's the 7th key. The 6th one is about dancing naked. How to create intimacy. I asked the question at the beginning of the chapter on intimacy, do you want to be known for who you truly are? Do you want to be loved for who you truly are? Or do you want to be loved for who you pretend to be? And when we ask that question that way, it's kind of like a no-brainer. But the truth is that we pretend to be people that we're not because we have shame, because we're incompetent, for a number of reasons, because we think that this is what the other person wants, so we shape ourselves into that. And we can't really have intimacy until we really have a new relationship with the absolute truth. I call it radical authenticity. My husband and I have an agreement to tell each other everything that we don't want to tell each other.
I love that.
Well,
it's
but
great.
It's unbelievable because
it's scary.
We're growing. It is scary, and these are the kinds of things that are really best attempted with coaching. You just can't jump into, okay, I'm going to tell you the truth, because most people don't even know what the truth is.
Yeah. And they can't handle truth either unless they've been well prepared. So this comes up a lot in the beginning of dating, where people feel they have to tell the whole truth. And this came up with somebody the other day. She said she has a special needs child who was in the hospital, and she's just getting to know somebody. And it's a lot to handle. This is a young adult child. And a lot of men have rejected her because they felt it was too much to handle. And so she's being very careful how she shares it. And she said, well, should I tell him that he's in the hospital? And I said, why? Why do you need to tell him? She said, because I feel like I'm lying. I said, but you don't know him yet. He hasn't earned your stories yet. And I said, did you tell him you have breast cancer? She goes, oh, no, that's too personal. I said, well, yeah. So people often feel it's lying if you're not telling the whole truth all at once and dumping the whole bucket out. And that's also important, is that we share the stories as people earn them, as they start to develop trust, and we'll get to that in a minute. But that's important, don't you agree?
Absolutely. And the 4th key is about declaring and defining partnership. Really, what kind of partnership are we in? Why are we even in a partnership? We partner with others to build something. What are we building? So many of the people that I have counseled have, fallen in love and moved in together. And then they call themselves partners. But there's no architecture. There's no plan. There's no building. There's no clarity about what are we doing, how are we getting there, and what are the commitments that we are making to one another. And that really takes me into the conversation about trust.
I think we're missing the 5th key before we get there.
Okay. Actually, it's the last key. And the last key is on creating passion. How do you create passion and recreate passion? So, not the passion that comes along with emergent hormones, but passion for really wanting to be. Where else would I want to be than to be with you? And I want to keep coming back to being with you because it is so satisfying. So that's the last key.
Mm-hmm.
And the epilogue of the book is about how do we learn this? I have discovered that relationship lives in people's closets. A really good friend of mine that I spoke to yesterday was talking about gathering some people together to talk about love and passion. She said, "Oh, you know what? I don't really think that too many of my friends are really interested in that conversation." And I'm like, "What?" That there are so many people who just their relationships in the closet. They don't want to, make any waves, and they don't want to talk about the fact that it's not a 10 relationship, and they're not committed to do anything about it.
Yeah, and then you have to look at stuff if you start to uncover stuff and go there, right?
Right.
Which is exciting to people like us because then you can grow and develop something amazing, right?
Right. I'm looking for them.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for people who are really interested in mastery. Who want to master life, and relationship is key to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So let's talk about trust. Because, trust is difficult for many people to build, especially people who are older who have been burnt many times. You were married 3 times, and, trust can get eroded if you're not really dealing with this. So what are 3 ways to build trust in relationships?
Well, the question that we need to start with is, what can I count on you for? That's really what trust is about. It's about count-on-ability. How do I count on you? And, authenticity, honesty is key. If I can't count on you to tell me the truth, not necessarily all of the truth in the world, but the truth for you as it relates to us or, our lives together, what, who you are and what you feel about me or think or need to say, the more authentic that we can be, the greater our capacity to trust. So I think many people don't have a commitment to, you can count on me for the absolute truth all the time.
You're breaking up.
Now, what happened? Yes, I can, but I don't know what happened.
I have no idea, but all of a sudden I can barely understand you. It's just breaking up.
Okay. I moved, so maybe that is helpful.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay. So I don't know where I lost
what
you.
I heard was authenticity and honesty are key. If we can't count on each other to tell the truth, like who you are, how you feel about me, the more authentic we can be, the more we can build trust. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very accurate.
Okay.
Another piece is competent. I need to count on you to do what you are capable of doing, not what I want you to be capable of doing. So really getting clear about what level of competence you have to take action or to perform or to do is important, and be willing to acknowledge whatever incompetence we have, and we will never lose a degree of incompetence. It's not like you're competent or incompetent. You're always gaining competence. And I think that it is important to know the level of competence in whatever particular domain we're talking about. Because we have, I'm a competent cook. I am a beginner painter. I am a proficient tennis player. So our competence is all over the map, depending upon the domain. So we need to know the level of competence that we and other people are dealing with if we're going to be trusting one another, because we trust for the future. We don't trust for the past. And the third piece is reliability. How well do you manage your promises? Do you make promises? Do you manage promises? I just been having an email conversation with a company that I'm considering doing business with, and this guy promised me that he would have some assessment to me by, I don't know, a week ago Friday or last Monday. And on Monday I followed up with him and said, are you getting back to me? And he said, oh, yes, the guy that was supposed to do this work is out of the office and will be back on Monday. So today I received an email from him. I followed up with him, like, where do we stand? He said, the assessment wasn't done yet, and I'll let you know as soon as it's available. And I went back and I said, could you give me an idea about when? It's like people don't realize how to manage a commitment to produce trust. I'm starting to feel distrust for this company now because they're not managing their promises well, at least as rigorously as I do. And so we want to know that people, one, make promises, fulfill their promises, and are in communication when they can't. And be responsible for consequences that might result for the non-fulfillment of my promise.
Yeah.
So, it's like being menschy, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's basic integrity, but it's so uncommon to have people really follow through in the way that, if it doesn't meet your level of integrity, and follow through and having your actions and words match. And it definitely erodes trust when you can't rely on a person to keep their word.
Right. And, there's another couple of pieces here which really help to build trust, and that is apology and forgiveness. So, when I've broken trust with you, it's rebuildable as long as I own my failure, apologize for producing damage, and asking for forgiveness. And if you can forgive, we can move on and we can learn together.
Yeah. Yeah, I had somebody who didn't follow through on a promise last week to call me at a certain time, and the next day I got an email from him so apologetic. He completely lost track. It was not a work day, and he called me also to apologize, and today we reconnected, and he said, do you forgive me? And I said, of course I forgive you. You made good on your promise. You followed through. You apologized, and life happens. But if he had never contacted me, it would be harder to rely on him next time and to make another commitment with him. So yeah, this is wonderful, and I think so smart and so easy to follow. I mean, really,
very simple,
not so hard, right?
Right. So that in creating new relationships, these are some of the ground rules. It's like I'm going to make requests to you. You can decline my request, but I'm looking for you to promise to me. And if you promise, this is what I'm looking for, as far as carrying through, being in communication. Just being able to say no to someone and having permission to say no to someone is a huge trust builder. Yes,
absolutely, because I personally hate when somebody says yes when they mean no.
Right.
And I do that with my coaching clients too. I always say to them, I'm going to give you homework between sessions. And you get to design it with me so that you actually do it. So it's not for me,
Right.
it's for you. And
Right.
you can push back and say, no, that's impossible. I can't do that. I'd much rather somebody said, that's not going to work for me. Here's what will work better. Because we don't want to come to each session going, well, I see you didn't complete your work. What got in the way? So,
and it's
really...
It's even more difficult in love relationships, setting up the space for a decline. Because I know, I've said it, or felt it if I didn't say it. If you really loved me, you would do it.
Yeah, right. Or you would read my mind and do it.
Oh, even better.
Right.
Right.
So as we reach the end, this is a question that you had posed, and I really want to hear your answer to it because it comes up all the time with my clients. And it's about having difficult conversations with a partner or a date about difficult topics like asking them to lose weight. This came up actually in my Facebook group this week. Or when somebody has bad breath or needs deodorant, it can be really awkward. So how do you suggest people have these kinds of difficult conversations without hurting the other person?
Well, the first thing that we have to do is to lose our attachment to having anything happen. My perception about your body image is just my assessment, and it doesn't make it true for you. So, I need to know. My daughter had this with my granddaughter the other day. She said, you were eating too many Doritos or whatever. And my granddaughter blew up. And I knew that there was some underneath conversation called, I'm a little heavy or something. So we need to get the real conversation on the table before we start offering up assessments. Being able to say something like, it seems to me that you are suffering about your weight. Do I have that right? Is that something that is a concern for you? And then once the concern is on the table, asking the person, are you open to my perspective? I don't think I have the truth here, but if you're interested in hearing what I have to say, I'm certainly happy to share it with you. Get permission. That's the short answer.
That's excellent. You definitely get permission. Always check in before you start giving unsolicited advice. My son just got a job at the Apple Store, and they were going through training and teaching them how to give feedback, negative feedback. And he was in partnership with a woman who was very blunt, and she comes from a Hispanic home where her mother was extremely blunt with her. So she goes, they're doing this role play, and she goes, excuse me for a second, can I give you some negative feedback? And my son is like, no, that's not how we do it.
Good.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
Can I just give you some negative feedback here for a minute?
It's really a key here is to unhook the negativity from it. It's like you think it's negative, you think it's bad, then you're creating bad, but there really is no negative feedback, because if you're really interested in being a genius, anything that I can offer you is positive feedback.
Right.
So.
Right. So that's for weight. That makes sense to me, but people might think, okay, so somebody has bad breath. I mean, I dated somebody with terrible breath, and I never said a word. This was probably 10 years ago, and it was really difficult, and I didn't know how to say it. And today I would say it. I would definitely say something. But so when it's like breath, maybe they're not even aware. So
probably not.
How would you say that? How would you put that?
You know what? I love kissing you, and I have to say that there's something that's holding me a little bit back.
I love that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's just caring,
It's just right. It's loving, and it's with positive intent, and you're stating attraction, your desire. And so it's not a personal attack. It's like, boy, this would make me want to kiss you even more. Right?
And you know what? I mean, people may have gum disease. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's like this is something that, really may require a periodontist, So why would we want to hold back our care?
Yeah. And it can break up a relationship. A lot of people just won't even go on a second date because somebody's breath is so bad, and that could really have them miss out on an amazing opportunity.
True.
Such a rich conversation, Karen. This has been wonderful, and I could definitely talk to you for a few more hours because I love everything that you're doing. Tell our audience how they can find you, and I know you have a webinar coming up, so tell us about that.
I do. Thank you. So my website is called KarenAberle.com. You can find Love's Invisible Dance there. It's also available at Amazon. You can communicate with me, get on my mailing list, look at the coaching programs that I have. I'm starting a new one called The Art of Seeing. The webinar is going to be on December 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and the webinar is called Creating Passion. And in this webinar, I'm going to be revealing the only 3 commitments that you need to create a passionate, enduring relationship. So I will have that on my website, and I will be sending out some Facebook posts about it. It hasn't really even been public yet until today.
Ooh.
So December 11th, it's a Zoom webinar. It's free. And if you want to reach me, if you haven't found a way to register, contact me directly.
Okay, awesome. So this will all be in the show notes, and if you're listening, go register for that webinar. It sounds amazing. It's free. It's juicy. It's fabulous. It'll help your relationships, and what could be bad about that? So thank you. Thank you, Karen, for being on my show today and for doing the beautiful work you do in the world.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Sandy.
My pleasure. And thanks, everybody, for joining today. And if you love our show, please rate and review us on iTunes. That really helps more people find us. And we hope you go on your last first date very soon. Have a great day.